Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Zojalix. Welcome back to another awesome night of some Celeste Any Percent League brought to you by Global Speedrun Association. Tonight we have a match between AuroraDash SR and Psyched SR. Both of these runners showing some being actually pretty close to each other in the standings. AuroraDash is currently sitting in 6th place with 323 points, and Psyched SR with 257. So if Psyched is able to pull out a pretty decent win, he could easily take the jump over AuroraDash, putting himself behind Chai Kitty in that fight for 5th place. So now, as we both look at both of these runners, Psyched is sitting at a pretty even record. He's got 3-3 right now. AuroraDash here being 3-4. So definitely going to be wanting to pay attention to this match to see how these runners are going to be playing it out and seeing who will be the one to take these points, because these points will definitely come into play. And now it looks like we have gotten the match started. Might hopefully seeing her sync here for it. So as we're into prologue, I don't want to say too much about nothing happening in prologue, because we have very easily seen some deaths that have happened in prologue, but it does not look like that is going to be the case this time around. Both of these runners now playing very, very evenly as we go into the first chapter, Forsaken City. Forsaken City, again, highlighting just all of the different optimizations that have come from this chapter and just how it is. You see so much that happens out of the whole game mechanics right off the bat. And it is one of my favorite chapters just to watch the speedrun of, just because you can see so many different optimizations come together. And so, seeing right now there's a little bit of an in-game timer desync, but that's fine. But I think right now Psyched has got a little bit of a lead. AuroraDash getting himself stuck in a little bit of different areas, in a couple of different areas, but nothing too major. So definitely something that is going to help out Psyched early on. But since there isn't a death, this is still super close, less than a second difference. It looks like AuroraDash has actually made up a little bit of the time already, and he might. Oh man, this is less than a second. Just seeing AuroraDash coming out with a little bit smoother movement in a couple of those screens to help catch him up. But Psyched, again, able to pull out a little bit more optimized movement. But again, these guys are so close. Psyched getting a little bit cleaner on the... Psyched being a little bit cleaner on the reverse hyper as he head up to that screen in order to secure less than a second of a lead between the two runners. And so now we are entering Old Site. Fairly uneventful between the first chapter, but here is where we could definitely be seeing a split in the leads, as we've got the battle and chase that comes out with a lot of super tight mechanics, as well as just so with the battle and chase, what you have is you have a 4-second window for what you can do before Battlein catches up to you. So if you stand still for 4 seconds, Battlein will catch up to you and you will die. So as we see here, AuroraDash actually took the lead, had a little bit smoother movement, and is able to be less than half a screen ahead of Psyched as we enter the battle and chase. So this is definitely something. This is a super close. Oh no, Psyched! He ends up jumping and he falls into the spikes, which ends up having to make him take a death, and is gonna put him 2 screens behind now. Like I said, you know, there's always just this chance for just a mess up like that to happen. And so now we're seeing AuroraDash taking the lead as he is finishing up his battle and chase, but Psyched is right behind him, so it's not too major of a lead for AuroraDash. It's still a chance for Psyched to catch up even before the end of this chapter if AuroraDash just struggles through his awake movement. As we saw, there were some definite moments that where we could see where we could see that Psyched had some cleaner movement, so that could very easily come into play 322 on the file timer for AuroraDash with a 325 for Psyched. So a 3-second lead for AuroraDash as we come out of Old Site going into the Celestial Resort. Now, again, because it's a 3-second difference, that lead could easily shift just by the time we hit Demo Dash, or even before then, just because of how technically difficult this chapter is. Both of these runners are going to have to play with the different Dust Bunny cycles, as well as just some extremely tough movement. And then even when you get into the Oshiro section, where you add a little bit more tough movement with the Dust Bunny cycles, with this giant vampire head trying to eat you. And just seeing how these runners are going to play. Both of these runners are super even in the standings. And so it is going to be really interesting to see how they play this out. AuroraDash still able to maintain his lead as he is completing the checking in section of Celestial Resort. And this is definitely a lead you're going to want to do whatever you can to try and maintain as you go through. Oh, getting himself a little bit stuck on the corner there. .435 on the cutscene skip for AuroraDash. 436, we're seeing maybe a second difference between the two as we move into the huge mess section of the run, where again we have to pay attention to the different movement and everything that comes into play, but not a chance of dying throughout the section there. AuroraDash definitely having cleaner initial movement as he moves into crates, so that will definitely give him a little bit of a jump there over Psyched. Seeing a 509 on the bubble hit for AuroraDash, kind of missing it a little bit, and a 510 for Psyched. So again, a second difference between the two runners. So definitely one thing to keep in mind is as you look up at the top of the screen, there is a in-game timer desync, and that is because the timer pauses anytime you exit the map. So 537 on the bubble for AuroraDash. Psyched now right behind with a 539. So AuroraDash able to gain about a second coming out of books. Both of these runners doing a really good job moving through Laundry. AuroraDash entering the final death screen for Laundry, as I like to call it. A 606 on the bubble for him. Psyched, kind of messing up on the cycle there. He's going to end up losing a little bit of time there. There's going to be a 609. So AuroraDash will be retaining his 3-second lead that he had at the end of Old Site, being able to make up some time over Psyched in this huge mess section. And again, playing really well through the elevator shaft. And now he's only got one screen left before he hits the same screen as Demo Dash. This lead could easily shift if one of them just decides to not take the checkpoint, though I don't see either of them not taking the checkpoint. AuroraDash taking the checkpoint, and he's got Demo Dash first try. Psyched is now, he's not going to be opting for the checkpoint, but he's taking so long to set it up, but he will get it. I don't think his setup time, however, canceled out the amount of time that it took for AuroraDash to get it with the checkpoint versus Psyched going without the checkpoint. So it'll be really interesting. I wasn't able to see what the file timer was for AuroraDash as he skipped that cutscene, but we are now in the Oshiro section for both of these runners. This race is staying very close right off the bat. Again, with the timer desync, it's kind of hard to really tell who is ahead. But it is definitely something that is going to want to be paid attention to. Oh no, Psyched having to take a death in this screen. That is not something you want to see when you were this close. I missed what happened, but he ends up dying, and that will give Aurora quite a bit of time. 7:47 for Aurora on the file timer as he comes out of this Oshiro. And it will be a 7:51 for Psyched. So even still, AuroraDash is only up about 4 seconds. So now taking a look at the stats for these two runners, AuroraDash, looking at him, his average times right now, his average time right now for a race is 30:13. And so it'll be really interesting to see how these runners play. These runners go. Trying to pull up Psych stats here. Sykes, his average time is 30:17, so only a 4-second difference between the two runners in their average time. So this is definitely looking like, prediction-wise, it's going to be a close race. I'm not sure. I have no predictions as to who's going to be able to pull it out. But looking right now, the worst chapter for Psyched is Temple B, where the worst chapter for AuroraDash is Ridge. So this could definitely be something that Psyched could use to make up some ground. And so you saw AuroraDash didn't opt to go for the berry strat, and it looks like Psyched is going to do the same. Just going to play it safe, not trying to do that super risky strat that hasn't really been used for that long in comparison to some of these other strats that we've been seeing. So definitely some safety being used by both of these runners as they make their way through Ridge. And oh no, Psyched overshooting the bubble, ends up going over it and not into it, and so he ends up having to retry there himself. This is not what you want to see from him. Oh, he's not able to get up on top of that block for some reason. Not really sure why, but he is certainly struggling. And oh, okay, Psyched gets the hyper dash but falls a little bit and is able to improvise his way out of it, but he's still quite a ways behind AuroraDash, as AuroraDash is now in the cliff face. Psyched is just not having the race that he wants to have, and we are getting so close to playoffs now that this is getting to be a AuroraDash ending up messing up a little bit there, and he's going to be dying himself too. But oh, Psyched now missing the ultra into the spring, and he ends up taking another death. This, as AuroraDash wraps up 10:31 on his file timer. He's definitely got a really, really nice lead over Psyched going into Mirror Temple, which, if you are AuroraDash, this is a pretty comfortable position that you want to be, but you also cannot be having a Bubs drop fail. So a 11-second lead for AuroraDash as we go into Chapter 5. So Chapter 5 here, we got a lot of tricks that are going to be coming into play through. Oh, AuroraDash missing the bubble, the dash from the bubble, and ends up dying. We're not really sure what Psyched is doing there, maybe making a couple of settings adjustments. So that's going to desync the timers quite a bit even more. And now we've got AuroraDash is coming up a little bit on the special cutscene skip, and he's not going to go for it, just take the regular one. So the game will keep track of your horizontal position, but not your vertical. Well, I'll explain that. Oh, AuroraDash not able to get a complete yeet, only able to just do a half yee, but that still will be viable for him. As now Psyched will come up on the cutscene skip, where the game will keep track of your horizontal position, but not your vertical. So it will actually like move you depending on where you skip the cutscene. Psyched now going for yeet, and oh no! Psyched was too low and ends up having to bonk there. So that will be another couple of seconds saved for AuroraDash, as he's at a 117 now, coming out of 5A, going into 5B. And now we've got Psyched coming into the cassette room himself. He's still, AuroraDash is still sitting with a fairly good lead. Having a pretty good run for himself, only having a couple of mistakes in bridge. That's definitely something you want to see, as now he's only a couple of screens away from Bub's drop. Now he's in, getting himself set up for his first Bub's drop attempt. And he's got it first try. That is going to be huge for him. Psyched is now entering 5B. And so with Psyched now entering 5B, he's going to need to get a first try Bub's drop to be staying in this race. Quite a timer desync, so I'm not going to be able to tell who's really... Oh no! AuroraDash missing the cycle on the bubble, goes into the saw blade and dies. Alright, Psyched now on Bub's drop, and oh no! Oh, Psyched missing his first attempt of Bub's drop, and now he's going to have to do it again. That's going to be a huge time loss for him. That will definitely be giving AuroraDash a major gap now in this lead, even more than he already had. So this is definitely now a race that is in AuroraDash's... Oh! AuroraDash missed... I don't know what exactly happened, but he ended up getting eaten by the Seeker. And now Psyched taking a death himself in the screen before. AuroraDash is getting himself caught up, and he's able to improvise his way out of it. Not really sure what exactly happened, but he messed up some of the Seeker manipulation, but he's able to improv his way out of it very, very cleanly. One of the biggest things I like to praise when I'm commentating these matches is just the amount of improvisation that has to come from some of these runners. Because sometimes you mess up an input just slightly and your entire way that you've done that screen gets thrown off, and you have to totally change what you're doing. And when you're in such a short speedrun like Celeste, everything is different. And now AuroraDash concluding 5B with a 14:27 on the file timer. Psyched able to play the room that AuroraDash tripped up on just a little bit cleaner, but not really sure what happened there, but some quick backups there able to save him from that as he goes into the Seeker section. Or the Theo section, sorry, my bad, I'm saying stuff. And so now we've got Psyched finishing up his Seeker Gauntlet. Only a couple of screens left as AuroraDash is looking at entering Chapter 6. Now, one thing to note about both of them taking a death. AuroraDash on Lake Skip and Psyched in the Impossible Room. AuroraDash having to get Lake Skip on his third try. Psyched ends up messing up a bounce there and takes a death in the cassette room. And so now we've got a pretty decent lead for AuroraDash as he looks to be entering his way into 6B. As we know, both of these runners are the ones who are using these 6B strats. And now AuroraDash will be coming up just a little bit before he comes up to Revo's Nonsense. One of the hardest tricks in the game. He's got, wow, what speed from AuroraDash as he is able to successfully complete Revo's Nonsense. Very, very well done from him, as now he has gotten the cassette and moved his way through on beginning 6B. Psyched now only a little bit until he is going to be up to Revo's Nonsense himself. Now this, as we know, only a couple... Oh! AuroraDash struggling with the Grizzly block there as he then... or the Kevin block, sorry. And ends up taking a death. But now Psyched is going to be looking at his attempt at Revo's Nonsense. And oh no! Psyched getting tripped up, and as you can see, Revo's Nonsense, being the hard trick that it is, you save a couple of seconds if you are able to get it. So now both of the runners are in 6B, making their way through 6B, being found to be a faster chapter, but it is not quite as like mainstream because of the amount of precision that happens from the runners. We see only Psyched and AuroraDash are runners that go for it in the league. And so now we've got AuroraDash coming up onto the falling section of 6B, playing very cleanly. AuroraDash still maintaining a nice favorable lead throughout reflection. So again, that this race, you guys are this race is going to be huge for both of these runners because we are getting to crunch time for the season. And so we've only got 3 weeks left before we enter playoffs and start approaching the grand finals. AuroraDash now completing the brand new 6B demo dash that has been incorporated with the new Chapter 9 patch. Shoutouts to Matt Makes Games for incorporating that with the newest patch. Something that I always like to point out is just the amount of commitment that the dev team has been making towards the speedrun, whether they do things that players would deem smart versus not smart, they still just devote a lot of time into adjusting. Oh! AuroraDash. Oh no, he's getting caught up in this room, dashing into the spikes, taking a death. And it looks like he might be cleaning himself up here. And he is able to do so, completing that screen. Psyched is struggling on that 6B demo, but he is able to get it after a couple of tries. I'm not sure how many it was off the top of my head as I was focusing on AuroraDash's struggle through this one screen. Looks like it was maybe about a third try. You know, again, definitely wanting to highlight, you know, we only have a couple of weeks to playoffs, and so every single race from here on out matters. If you want to find your way in contention for playoffs, you are going to need to just bring out your best gameplay. And oh, AuroraDash missing the Ultra onto the block there to give him a lot of momentum, and he falls, not able to grab the block as it rotates back. So he will get a second try on that strat, is able to get it on his second try, but that's still a couple of seconds there that he loses that Psyched will be able to gain back. This race, despite being a favorable lead for AuroraDash, could still end up in Psyched's favor depending on how this 6B goes. So now runner AuroraDash is going to be wrapping up his battle and fight here in just a little bit, I believe. And oh no! Missing the dash onto the bumper. You can see AuroraDash smack his facepalm in frustration, as that is a huge time loss in that screen. But he will be wrapping up his fight now with a 20-46 on the file timer as he enters the summit. And oh no! Psyched falling and not able, he's really struggling on the screen. He's already taken 3 deaths on it. one fairly late into the screen and then the other two super early. And so now Psyched is not in a position that he wants to be. AuroraDash has begun the final climb to the summit. And so now we're going to be getting a quick timer resync here, but this is definitely a race in AuroraDash's favor, being quite a few screens ahead. We're probably going to need another resync here as Psyched wraps up his 6B and it moves his way into the summit. As now AuroraDash has been making his way through 500 meters, still maintaining this really comfortable lead. This is definitely AuroraDash's race to lose as we move into the final areas of the summit. Well, as we move through the summit and looking to wrap up this race, if Psyched is going to need to clean some things up and hope and pray that AuroraDash makes some mistakes to allow for him to catch up. Like I said, we are getting to crunch time for playoffs, and this is not a position Psyched wants to be in for this race if he wants to make playoffs. AuroraDash is going to be putting himself in a pretty comfortable position for playoffs if he is able to make this race work. AuroraDash now entering 1,000 meters. Psyched looking to only a couple of screens left in 500 before he ends up joining AuroraDash on 1,000. AuroraDash making his way through 1,000, reincorporating the dream block mechanics that we saw from old Psyched, while Psyched finishes up 500 meters, makes his way to 1,000. Again, AuroraDash sitting with a really comfortable lead right now. As we get closer and closer to the end of the race, AuroraDash now definitely eyes on him right now as we look at 1,500 being one of the areas that have... Whoa! AuroraDash coming through with a new demo in 1,500. I don't think I've ever seen that one before. That was very impressive from him. But 1,500, having some of the longer, more punishing screens, if AuroraDash trips up a little bit, this could be a huge opportunity for Psyched. But AuroraDash is not taking his foot off the gas. He is just saying, fine, I'm creeping ahead. You better catch up, boy. If you want this race, you better go faster. AuroraDash is continuing to speed up and continuing to keep this lead going as he looks to finish up 1,500 meters. And oh, Psyched tripping up on that run, on that demo. Oh no, Psyched missing the dash going up, ends up taking a death. Now Psyched is making his way through the AuroraDash room, able to clean that up, but still, he's taking quite a few deaths in this summit, and that's only helping AuroraDash. Oh, AuroraDash not able to get the auto-scroller skip. Oh, he dies again. AuroraDash is really struggling on that auto-scroller skip. I couldn't quite tell if he went for it that... No, he didn't go for it the second time. Just took the regular auto-scroller skip, because he knows that he was struggling on it and just decided, I'm going to have to play it safe. I don't want to risk losing this race to the auto-scroller skip. Definitely a respectable move there from AuroraDash. As Psyched As AuroraDash now finishing up 2,000 meters, making his way into 2,500, while Psyched doing the one auto-scroller in the game. Ooh, kind of styling a little bit there. Giving that little bit of swag. As he continues on, looking to finish up 2,500 here soon. Hopefully trying to do what he can to keep himself in this race. But like I said, AuroraDash has got a super comfortable lead, as AuroraDash now is able to successfully complete key skip, kind of messing up a little bit on the first initial spike jump. But he is able to get it, and now is looking to continue to make his way through, making his way through 2,500, looking to approach the summit as soon as possible. Able to thread the needle now, and he's got one door skipped and two doors skipped. Very, very well done from him. And oh no! AuroraDash missing the dream, not the dream block, the dash block there, and ends up taking a death. But on the other screen as well, Psyched takes a death too, messing up the dash there and taking a death as he, taking a death on the spike jump there for key skip. That will definitely give AuroraDash more space to play with as he makes his way into 3,000 meters. He's on the final 30. If Psyched wants to catch up, he's going to have to hope for a miracle and try and just claw and scratch his way through. AuroraDash sitting at about oh no! Psyched missed the dash into the bubble, and he is just struggling on this summit. I think the nerves are just getting to him. He's dashed a little, he keeps dashing too early. Psyched not able to thread the needle right now. He needs to make some adjustments, but oh my goodness, Psyched, you need to change something at this point. Taking 3 deaths on thread the needle is not what you want, but he is able to skip both the doors. As now AuroraDash is finishing up his downdraft, continuing through this final 30. He's getting such a good lead from this. Now Psyched wrapping up 2,500 meters, moving on to the final 30 flags, as AuroraDash is hitting up flag 14 right now. We're definitely going to need Psyched to do something. Either he needs to start pulling out some crazy moves, or AuroraDash needs to start messing some things up. AuroraDash making his way through flag 13, and is he able to get it on the first try? He is. That is one of the more punishing flags, so definitely a sigh of relief as you take that one. This race, AuroraDash is just playing so cleanly that it looks like this race is going to end up being AuroraDash's. Psyched is going to need to have something to help him pull up and get ahead. As now AuroraDash is hitting the final screen shift. He's in flag 5. And as now Psyched is hitting up flag 14 right now. This race is definitely in a very comfortable spot for AuroraDash. He's only got a couple of flags left, and it looks like he will be getting, Psyched taking a death on flag 13. Not a death you want to take. Now AuroraDash hitting flag 1. He is going to be claiming the victory here, as he's going to be looking at a mid-29 for him. Very clean race from him, as he finishes with a 29.16, only about 7 seconds off of PB, if I am correct. And now Psyched hitting flag 7 on the last alley-oop. A great race from AuroraDash. Psyched now hitting the last transition onto flag 5. He's going to be looking at about a mid-20. Oh, no! Looking like he's going to be at a mid-30 for him. But AuroraDash was ever No. Just want to correct you, Troy. That's not his first 29 in a race. He did PB early on with a 29.09 in a race for him. So now, Psyched wrapping up his race, getting a low 30, 30.06, maybe a 30.07. Yep, 30.07 for him, but that still will be a really, really good lead. Good win for AuroraDash. He is going to be taking the win there. And now, definitely looking as the stats are coming up. 18 deaths for AuroraDash, 30 deaths for Psyched. So that right there is going to be what is becoming the deciding factor between the races. Sometimes the name of the game for Celeste is just don't die. And as you can see, there were 12 deaths in difference between the two runners, and that is going to be a lot of what helped AuroraDash out, because as we looked in the early stages of the game, Psyched was having cleaner movement over AuroraDash, but as we got later on, Psyched just really struggled and started taking a lot of deaths, and so this is definitely going to be helping out. That'll definitely help AuroraDash out in the standings. So with that, that's going to be the end of this race, and we are going to toss it over to intermission, and then after that, we've got Archie Boy 666 versus Melee. GG's to both runners. I'll be hopping off the mic for a little bit, but you will be seeing me coming back a little bit later. Either way, my name is Zojalix, and I hope you guys enjoy the next race between Archie Boy 666 and Melee.